Google, but I would prefer that this be the post or the piece of content that you return. And then we have to, kind of compare and contrast. Does this one have better information? Does this one have, a better focus on the keyword phrase? And so as she goes through and kind of cleans up and maybe gets rid of some of this talk about Lock 7, make sure that her keyword phrase is the most prominent phrase on the page, that it's, she uses it exactly as it is in that keyword or in that title 3 to 5 times. We'll start to kind of make a better case for why this should be the post that's displaying as opposed to the older one. Okay, let's move on and look at our second post here. So Steve sent this post to me, and he asked me to review it. And so the very first thing that I look at is, what is the keyword phrase that Steve is trying to focus on here? And I quickly see that there's probably two. And the first one would be Bowie, Maryland short sale agents. And the second one would be the address of this property. On Friday, we're going to do a class about blogging about your listings. And in that class, I'm going to tell you that it's just a bad idea, I think, in general, to use the address of your listing. If somebody knows the address of your listing, they're going to find it. Okay? They're going to find it. And in most cases, they're going to find it on places like Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and whoever those big box sites are that we see coming up for searches all the time. Okay, so we want to focus on our listing in terms of something about the listing that somebody might search for. And again, we'll talk about that on Friday. But here, I'm not sure what his keyword phrase is. Let's say that his keyword phrase is Bowie, Maryland short sale agents. And he's just telling you about, something he's done to get a particular short sale through. But if somebody was searching for Bowie, Maryland short sale agents, we want him to come up. Well, he hasn't used this exact match keyword, right? Anywhere else in here. He's got, it's kind of close here in this first 140 characters, but it's not an exact match. And then nowhere else throughout here does he use that phrase again. So I would just, be very cognizant. What am I trying to rank for? And every single time we sit down and write a post, we should be thinking in those terms. Now, if our goal is to get it to rank in the search engines, to get it in front of consumers, sometimes you might be writing a post geared towards your peers, or you might be writing a post that's like for one particular person, and you're just going to email it to them and leave it out there for anybody else to potentially find. But if you're trying to get it to rank in the search engines, you have to say, what are you getting it to rank for? In this case, I think I'm not exactly sure what Steve's focus with this particular post is. One of the things I would be very careful with that he's doing in here, and I see a lot of people doing it's not just Steve, is all these links in here. Okay, so our blog has the potential, and as we get down here a little bit further, and I would guess that a lot of this is maybe part of his signature, be careful, okay? Because if we think about each particular post in terms of ranking for one thing, how much benefit are we getting out of these additional links that we add in here? Really what we're doing is we're detracting from the power of any of the links that we've left up in this area. So, if he wanted to really focus on getting links for another page on his site for Home's Affordable Foreclosure Alternative Program, or HAFA, right? Each of these additional links that was in here is detracting from his ability for this link to impact the page he's linking to. So every extra link is going to take away from the power of the links before it. So if we have 3 links in our blog, right, and I'm going to suggest that you have somewhere between 3 to 5 links in the body of your post. When you have 50, and he's getting close to having 50 here as we start to look at some of these here, some of this stuff down here, some of this stuff at the end, right? He's got links on his images in here, and I would encourage you to do that, assuming that it makes sense. But what's happening is now we've just got this page where it's almost as if there's more links, there's more content that includes a link than there is just regular content. And if we see if a search engine sees a piece of content and it's 300 words and there's 40 links, right? the search engine is going to really discount that content because it's probably, in and of itself, not a solid piece of content that they're going to want to return. And it may be solid, right? This may be a solid piece of content that would actually educate somebody that landed there. The problem is from a search engine perspective, they're going to discount it because we got just a bunch of other stuff in here where it looks like we're trying to kind of, jump on the back of this blog post and get more search engine power for the pages that we're linking to. So he's hurting himself, I would say, quite a bit, both from the perspective of he hasn't really picked a subject and focused on that in order to get your post to rank for that particular subject, but he's also got just what I would call an inordinate number of links for what a search engine would expect to find on a real solid piece of content. Years ago, this would have been a more applicable strategy. Today, the search engines are really, they're getting a lot smarter. They're starting to act like a human, and I think as we just land on this thing as a human, this top might not be that bad. Okay, he does get a little bit kind of, I don't know, I'd say out of control, but there's a lot of links down here in this last paragraph. But as we get down here and we kind of look at, especially this piece right here, there's just a lot of links in here, and there's not a lot of content that's necessarily unique or really of any value, right? He's just kind of letting you know, here's the places that I service, and again, each one of these is detracting from his message up here in the top of the post. So figure out, like, what do I want to rank for?